A guy in Atlanta who has never written a line of code sat down and rebuilt Salesforce. Not all of Salesforce, his bit of it. It took him 25 hours. His name is Dave. He owns a property company. About 60 people spread across 8 states in the American Southeast. He is not a founder. He is not in tech. He collects rent. And for years, he paid Salesforce to run his customer database, the way you're supposed to. He also paid consultants to customize it. He paid for seats his people didn't use. He paid every year, whether it fit or not. All in, software was costing him north of $100,000 a year. Here's the line that matters. When he described what he needed the software to do, he said this: I just need to keep track of who I've spoken to, who's on our distribution list. That's it. That's the whole requirement. Salesforce is a cathedral. He needed a shed. But there was never a shed for sale. There was only the cathedral, with a monthly invoice and a consultant who'd sell you a slightly smaller cathedral. He'd seen another business owner at a networking event build something functional in about 25 minutes. Not a demo, a working thing. So he tried it. 25 hours later, he had a system that tracked his contacts, his distribution lists, his pipeline. It worked on his phone. It cost a couple $100s to build. It costs about $300 a month to keep running. He canceled Salesforce. Then he canceled Entrata. Then he canceled Yardi. Both of them real estate software companies, both of them expensive, both of them replaced. By the end, he'd consolidated somewhere between 20 and 40 subscriptions. And then the part that should worry you. He didn't stop building. Greenleaf has 5 more apps in progress. And Dave started encouraging his non-technical staff, the people who collect rent, to build their own tools. Not engineers, property managers, building software. Now, you've been watching this as a story about Salesforce losing a customer. It isn't. Dave doesn't sell software. Dave buys software. He is the customer. He is everyone's customer. So if you're building something right now, sitting there with a landing page and a Strike key and a product you're proud of, the person in this story is not Salesforce. It's you. Your competitor was never the other founder with the better landing page. Your competitor is your customer, on a Tuesday afternoon, deciding your thing is almost right and they could just build the version that actually fits. The call is coming from inside the house. There's a thread on r/SaaS about exactly this. Hundreds of founders arguing about whether any of it is real. And buried in the replies is a guy who says the quiet thing. He builds software for a living. He sells it. And he says that lately, at his own company, they've been cutting the expensive, polished tools that mostly do what they need, and replacing them with slightly sketchy in-house ones that do exactly what they need. He's doing it while worrying about it being done to him. That's the whole industry right now. Everybody canceling upward and panicking downward. Nobody in that thread had a clean answer. The best they managed was, build for people who can't do this to you. This was always technically possible. People have been able to build their own CRM since the 1990s. What changed is the price of good enough for us. It used to be that building the exact right tool for 60 people cost more than buying the wrong tool for 1,000. So everybody bought the wrong tool. That's the entire business model of enterprise software. Not that it fits you, but that it fits you better than nothing, and nothing was the only alternative. Now there's a third option, and it costs $200, which means the thing enterprise software was actually selling you was never the features. It was the fact that building it yourself was worse. That was the moat. Not the product, the alternative. And nobody put that on the pricing page. Payroll, where being wrong is a lawsuit. Anything holding card numbers. Anything a regulator inspects. Anything where the real product is somebody to blame at 3 in the morning. Dave rebuilt his contact list. He did not rebuild his bank. That's the line. Not hard to build. Nobody's tools are hard to build anymore. The line is consequences. If your software fails and your customer just shrugs and fixes it, you are replaceable. If your software fails and your customer gets sued, You're not selling software. You're selling somewhere for the risk to sit. One thing before you go rewrite your roadmap. This story lives on Replit's own customer page. Replit sells the tool he built it with. They are not a neutral party, and a case study is an advertisement wearing a lab coat. The numbers also don't quite agree with each other. Some reports say 60 employees, some say 55. The build cost and the monthly cost get quoted interchangeably by people who should know better. None of that makes it false. Dave is real, the company is real, the canceled contracts are real, but one guy did it in 25 hours is exactly the shape of a story that gets repeated until it's a law of nature. And it isn't one. It's one man, one company, one afternoon. Take the mechanism, leave the miracle. The safe ground is not where the problem is hard. It's where your customer can't be the one who solves it, where they'd need a license, where they'd need someone else's data, where they'd need the thing to be somebody else's fault. Everything else, the dashboards, the trackers, the internal tools, the thin layer over an API, your customer can now build that themselves in an afternoon, badly, and be perfectly happy with it, because it fits, and yours never did. That's the uncomfortable bit, and it's worth sitting with. Dave's CRM is almost certainly worse than Salesforce. Fewer features, no integrations, no support line, held together by a man who collects rent for a living. He doesn't care. It does the one thing he asked for. You are not competing with better anymore. You're competing with good enough and mine. Welcome to the channel. We show the machinery. Same time next week.